Japan is quiet, deceptively quiet. You're surrounded by 35 million people in Tokyo, but you can still find these pockets of absolute stillness. And it's in that silence that you start to notice something unsettling. It's not the culture shock you are expecting, it's the feeling that everything just works. And once you notice it, you can't unnotice it, especially when you come home. We start with a broad sensory experience. The trains glide in at the exact second they're supposed to. The streets remain spotless, even without a trash can in sight. People form perfect, silent lines for everything. If you're used to a certain level of background chaos, it can kind of feel surreal. It's a system running not on rules, but a kind of unspoken agreement. It's about why Japan isn't special because it's flawless, but because it's profoundly functional, and why experiencing that functionality, even for a short time, can make returning home feel deeply strange. I think the moment that it first crystallized for me was in one of the busiest places I visited, Kyoto Station. I had been wandering around aimlessly for hours, overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the place. When I finally gave up and asked an elderly woman for directions to a tea house I was looking for, she didn't speak English and I spoke almost no Japanese. But she understood my confusion, and without any hesitation, she started walking. Not just pointing, she was personally guiding me all the way across the station, up an escalator, to the quiet little tea shop on the second floor. A sanctuary of calm I would have never found on my own. I couldn't thank her enough, but this gesture felt like more than just one person's kindness. It felt like a signal, a perfect example of a society where helping someone isn't an inconvenience. It's the default protocol. It's a profound contrast to the feeling back home, where asking a stranger for help can so often feel like an imposition, a transaction where you expect to be ignored. In that specific moment, it wasn't just a direction, it was a quiet lesson in social grace. That single act of kindness that makes you reflect on the baseline back home. I live in Canada, and the contrast is jarring. You see it constantly in shared public spaces. Someone on a bus or in a public area, shoes off, socks off, feet propped up on an empty seat. It's a small thing, but it's a broadcast. It's a signal that says my personal comfort is more important than our shared environment. Public spaces here often carry a low-grade grime, a feeling that no one is truly responsible for them, because the shared assumption is that it's someone else's problem, which couldn't be further from the truth. It extends to our most vulnerable spaces. The train station back home is often a place you move through quickly as possible. You learn to navigate the scenes of profound public distress. Addiction, severe mental health crisis playing out in public sight. It's a symptom of a society struggling with problems that Japan, for better or worse, often keeps invisible. It's the difference between a system built on assumption of mutual consideration and one that feels like it's simply trying to manage the chaos. So why? Why does it work so well? I think the answer can be broken down into 3 layers. But first, the most obvious, the hardware. This thoughtful design isn't just in the public sphere, it starts in the home. My absolute favorite place for my trip was a traditional townhouse, a kiyomachiya, where I stayed in Kyoto. From the moment you step inside, everything feels intentional and peaceful. The traditional slippers laid out perfectly in the entryway, The floors are soft tatami mats that quiet your footsteps. Even the garden outside my window was like a carefully composed picture. You realize that this societal thoughtfulness isn't just an attitude, it's laid out in the very structures that some people live in. The respect for space, for quiet, and for the order is built into the blueprint of daily life. And that philosophy scales up, from the private home to the public street. Take the vending machines as an example. They glow on nearly every single corner. A closed loop. The system anticipates your needs and your consequence, and provides a solution for both. The path for least resistance is to do the right thing. This respect extends everywhere. Look at the secondhand stores. In Japan, used can simply mean it was opened once. There's a fundamental respect for the object itself, a belief that things should be maintained, not just consumed and discarded. This respect for value extends even to new products. I bought a brand new Godzilla t-shirt at Uniqlo in Tokyo for what feels like a very reasonable price, about 14 Canadian dollars. When I got home, I found the exact same shirt in a Canadian Uniqlo, selling for $30. It wasn't just that it was cheaper in Japan, it felt rightly priced. It's another small piece of the puzzle. A system that feels less designed to squeeze every last cent from you, which in turn builds a sense of trust. And this philosophy of thoughtful design culminates into breathtaking spaces, like the Kadokawa Culture Museum. I remember walking into its grand library, the Bookshelf Theater. Walls lined with shelves soaring all the way to the ceiling, creating a cathedral of knowledge. But despite the scale, the feeling was one of peace. It's a space designed to inspire awe, but it functions on that same quiet, mutual respect. But incredible hardware is useless without the right software running on it. And in Japan, that software is a shared social agreement. I remember stepping out of my kiyomachiya in Kyoto one morning. An elderly woman was sweeping the pavement. She saw me, stopped, bowed slightly, and wished me a good day. It was just a recognition, a small packet of respect that reinforces the social network. You see this software running everywhere. On the subway, cars are silent. That shared goal is not to impose on others. It's the social algorithm that everyone runs automatically. This social algorithm is often the most visible in simple acts of courtesy. On a bus in Kyoto, I saw an elderly man get on. Before I could even fully process it, a young student was already up offering his seat. It wasn't some grand heroic gesture, it was just the default. The expected protocol, a small automatic transfer of comfort from someone who needs it less to someone who needs it more. The social contract of mutual respect is so pervasive. It even feels like the wildlife assigned it. I'm of course talking about the pigeons. Back home, pigeons scatter even if you think about walking close to them. In Japan, they don't. They'll casually stroll out of your way, but you rarely see them fly. There's no panic. But the most surreal example of this was when I was in a quiet cafe. I was enjoying a delicious grilled cheese sandwich when I heard the door chime. A pigeon just waltzed in, bobbing its head. He looked around on the floor, almost as if he was checking to see if someone had cleaned up, or if he needed to. After a quick inspection, he just turned around and walked right back out. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen, but it's also telling. They seem to understand that no one is going to harm them. They're not just residents, they're citizens. They're just out here enjoying the vibe, completely unbothered. And when the hardware and the software work together in perfect harmony, it creates something profound. The user experience. There's a deep comfort in being somewhere that just works. I never once felt unsafe. But the most profound feeling was the lack of being overwhelmed. I accidentally wandered into Akihabara and forgot it was Saturday. It was absolutely packed. A sea of people under a canyon of neon. But even in that intense energy, I could still move. The crowd flowed. There was space. On a busy street back home, that level of density would feel chaotic, stressful. Here, the order wasn't suffocating, it was reassuring. And then the most surreal part, you turn off the main road, move over 1 block, and it all just vanishes, dead quiet. The noise, the crowd, the intensity, gone. It's if all these moments you realize peace isn't just an accident, it's by design. Even in a city of millions, tranquility is only just a few steps away. All those little dysfunctions we accept as normal, they're like the background noise you've learned to just tune out. In Japan, that noise is gone. And in its absence, the silence is striking. It's a silence that lets you finally think. The most incredible moments for me were often the quietest. Waking up early and walking the streets of Tokyo before the city truly came to life. Before 7 a.m., this metropolis of millions is dead silent. The streets are pristine, with not a single piece of trash in sight. It's almost as if the entire city had been reset overnight. It's beautiful, and it's functional on a level that's just hard to comprehend. And in that perfect, clean silence, a sadness crept in. The deep, sinking realization this wasn't the norm back home. And that's the feeling they have a name for online, post-Japan depression. It sounds like an exaggeration, but it's not nostalgia, it's the contrast. You come home and the vacation glow wears off, but the new lens you're looking through doesn't. And this is the deeper point. Japan isn't special because it's a utopia. It has deep, significant societal problems, just like any other country. But what makes it feel different is its coherence. It's a feeling that society is running on a fragile but shared agreement. Don't make life harder for one another. In many of our cities, dysfunction has become the default. We shrug it off because we've stopped expecting better. In Japan, that expectation is still there. The system trusts its people, the try. And when a system trusts you, it quietly asks you to rise to meet that trust. Ultimately, visiting Japan changed me as a person. It's not about missing the place. It's about what I brought back. I'm starting to notice it in my own life now. That it's the small things we do, the little, almost invisible courtesies in our daily lives, that can help others in ways that we can't even imagine. Those are the things that truly make a world of difference, and you're left with a collage of memories that prove it's possible. Quiet, traditional side streets in Kyoto, a peaceful walk through a serene town like Hachioji, just a short train ride from the city's heart, even a simple neon-lit walking street in Chiba, vibrant and alive, yet completely peaceful. You quickly realize you weren't just visiting a place. You were experiencing a different way of moving through the world, a way to find peace in all the noise. Maybe that's the reason Japan leaves such an indelible mark. It isn't just the sights or the sounds. It's the quiet hum of a society that has agreed to move together. It shows you what's possible. And once you've seen that possibility, you're left with a question that's very difficult to shake. If a society can work this smoothly, why doesn't mine? As always, thanks for watching.